Fred, lovely. I know of two methods with stop motion animation. So there's the individual still pictures that people put together, which, as you said, are very, very time consuming. The way that I used to do it is I used to set up a table with green screen, and then I put my hands in, move the model a tiny amount, and then take my hands out. Put my hands in, move the model again, and another tiny amount, take my hands out, and then in the edit I just take all the hands out. So it almost has like this film-like quality. So instead of putting still pictures together, you're actually putting moving footage together, although it's not moving until you take the hands out and it starts to move. So that's a quick way of doing it. The other thing to say, do you know Oliver Dowding?
No.
Right, Ollie Dowding, he's in the moving image. Yeah, you do.
Oh, in our class?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I didn't know the second name.
Yeah,
sorry.
No, that's right. I'm sure it was Oliver, because Oliver loves editing. He was talking about it's an editing program specifically used for stop motion. So it makes your job a lot quicker.
Oh, so you don't have like thousands of photos and all.
Yeah. So I think it kind of like really, talk to him about it. If not, next week, remind me to ask, because someone in our class knows about that program, and I think it will take a lot of work out of it for you. The other thing to consider, I know you said you wanted to set it up at home because it's quite a small setup. If you had a green screen, and say we had a green cloth on the table here, you could actually change the background and do it here, because this is a beautiful green screen. So have a think about that option, because you could hire out the studio for half day, whole day, and get some of the shots actually changing the background using our screen technology here. So have a little think about that. The one thing I really do love is you've thought so much about the visual language and the concept, and that you're very clear that you want there to be a message to young people, to identify with them very, very in a very succinct and connected way. So, which I love that. So,
because it's got a moral to it.
Exactly. I love the message. I love the moral story that you want to try and tell. And I love the soundscape. I mean, I've read so many studies that how music has and different types of music will have a specific effect on the brain. And this is why I think, music in filmmaking is so important to create that atmosphere and that mood and convey that message. It's part of the message forming component of film.
Makes the storyline.
Absolutely. I would say at this point, 10 minutes stop motion animation film is a lot. And
I was thinking that as well when I did it. I
would say almost like 2 to 5 minutes max, 2 to 4 minutes.
I didn't know that was just not going to be enough.
No, that's fine. And to be realistic. And maybe a few experimental days might give you a better indication of, one, how long realistically you can make a film, and actually help to inform the storytelling, because if how much story can you tell, and what's the key thing you want to get across in this short film form. So it is possible to tell a very beautiful story. I think simple stories are best.
But even like my narrative on my mind doesn't probably stretch beyond 3-4 minutes, like in terms of so I think I can fit what I want into that time.
I think that's plenty for stop motion animation, because we appreciate there's so much work that goes into that. That like 3 minutes is a lot, So we're not expecting a 10-minute film for stop motion animation, nowhere near. So and that can change. That's not set in stone. The pitch is really just your initial kind of presentation. Those ideas, there's no reason why down the line you might say, oh, actually, George, I've decided to do puppetry instead. Do you see what I mean? So we did have a young man last year who did stop motion animation. It'd be good for you to have a look at his video footage to see how he dealt with his concept and idea. It was a lot of fun. Make sure you've got your pitch in there. Sorry, your pitch, FMP, your oh gosh, I can't speak. Schedule.
Okay.
So make sure in your planning you've got the end date, which is the 23rd of May, and work back week by week
what I'm gonna do.
What you're going to do leading up to that fruition date. You've got to get something submitted. So at the moment we're in the early weeks of context and research. That's going to be starting next week. So you're going to get into your research. But you've defined, you know, the areas of primary and secondary research. We didn't talk a lot about primary. So primary things like, you know...
is that, like, what are they called?
Questionnaires?
Questionnaires.
So yeah, if at the beginning, you know, you wanted to ask people generally, what stop motion animation do you watch? What do you like about stop motion animation? Because some of that might... It's got to be questions that are targeted to help inform your final product and how you market it. So it might be not just what elements you put in there, but it could be, you know, what you could ask in that first initial questionnaire, what platforms do you use most for film watching or finding out which films are like trending now, and do that. Other forms of primary research is also practical research, you know, trying out setting up a studio here. That would be primary research, wouldn't it? In terms of practical research. Maybe playing with lighting and backgrounds. You might want to start looking at backgrounds. If you're going to use green screen, how you're going to vary the location for your character to be in.
I was thinking my own, like, drawings as background, but I could put that onto a green screen. Your drawings as background.
Yeah, love that. Of course you could put that on a green screen, because all you do is you take a picture of your final artwork, and then we use that as a backdrop for your green screen. Absolutely, yeah, totally. I love that idea. That sounds fab.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And then also you can play around with the scale. So if you wanted to scale it up, you know, your picture, or scale it down, you could. Whereas if you're just using like physical backdrops that you've drawn, it's fixed.
Size,
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
We'll leave that there. Thank you,
Thank
Fred.
you.